begin the interview. We're going to be very cheeky, Pete. I don't know if you can tolerate the Muzz. The Muzz can come hard and heavy. Oh, what? Oh, that's you. Okay, got it. Sorry, I thought that was my camera. Okay. So if this goes off the rails, don't be alarmed, is all I'm saying. Buckle in.
Okay.
We may stay in first gear the whole time also, so.
Okay, MusicBoxPete here on with one of the many bands that'll be performing at Summit Indie Fest, October 22nd at the Book and Bar up in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. With a brand new band I have not had the opportunity to talk to until now, but they'll be making their debut here in the cast. Talk about their creative process, everything behind their music. I think they are definitely intriguing. I could just tell this is going to be a good interview. I can already tell. So.
What gave it away?
Yeah.
Can I do
All right, I'd like to welcome on the
the
band Muzzins. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you,
thank
MusicBoxPete.
Hi.
Thank you. Yeah, my pleasure. Great to have you on. So just get the easy, painless questions out of the way first. Just give us your names. And
There's painful. Wait. What?
There's going to be painful questions coming up?
No.
Oh, okay.
I want the hard stuff first. Then we can come down. No? I don't know. Now I'm all tense.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. What do you got for us?
All right, so just give us your names and roles in the band.
You first.
Who?
You.
Me? Hi. I'm Armaz, and in civilian life, I'm known as Reina. And I'm going to let them say what my role is in the band, and then we'll swap.
Oh, interesting.
Isn't that such a good idea?
That's a good one.
So,
And you're putting us on the spot, too.
We are improvisers. This is what we do best.
That's true.
We can roll with this.
You want to improvise first?
Oh,
T-Muzz or
Sure.
me?
okay.
I'm T-Muzz, also known as Tom. I play bass. And Reina, I'll say, plays guitar sometimes. And she does other stuff, too, that Chris will fill in the blanks on.
Yeah. Good segue. My name is C-Muzz in this band, also AKA Chris in real life. Not in band life. I'd say Armaz is a spiritual leader. I'd say Armaz is a vocalist, but I'd say a channeler, right? And I'd say you're a light worker. And a melodica player.
Well,
I'm a dark worker.
I undersell that by just saying guitar.
Yeah.
Timaz is a man of few words and much depth.
Yes.
I appreciate that.
Yes,
Yeah.
I fully, since I'm going to say we're just doing round robins here. So, round robin.
I was doing round cardinals.
Round Muzzins.
Oh, sorry.
Oh. So Timaz is our bass player, and he is, as I said, a man of few words and much depth, and he will tell you what he does.
Wait.
Oh no, you have to say.
Wait, no.
Are we all done?
Oh, that's right. I play drums.
Yeah.
Wait, we gotta wrap up this answer this
Yeah,
question.
this is a hard...
One idea.
I play drums. Tom plays bass. Reina sings. That's like the easiest.
And the melodica. We forgot the melodica.
Oh yeah, and the guitar. Oh, I play electronic drums too.
Yes.
There's all sorts of shit.
Jaw harp.
Yeah,
It's all part of it.
There's that apparently the tambourine just now.
No, we're a psychedelic power jam trio right now. Is how I'm thinking about us.
Yes.
We make a lot with relatively little.
Okay, so let's go back to the beginning and talk about the formation of the group and how you all met.
No, that's a good story.
There's parallel stories depending on what timeline and universe you examine our journey from.
So
yes.
If I may actually give my perspective, which is somewhat there's like a prequel to this story that makes it even more interesting, but I'll save that for you. I was at Chris's birthday party. I've known Chris for, I don't know, 25 years or so. We've played in a lot of other bands together. Chris had a birthday party. A lot of people came. We were playing music at the party. A bunch of people joined in, Reina being one of those people. and we just had a really great time at the party, kind of jammed, and thought, wow, that was really cool. We should, do more of this at some point. And from my perspective, that's how it all started. Little did I know that the day before, or earlier that day, there was some other stuff afoot.
The story involves, the story always goes further back than you think, and it always goes back to the beginning of time and space. But we won't go there in the interest of time and sanity. Pete, I hope you don't lose your mind. But there was a piece of lemon blueberry coffee cake. And this piece of lemon blueberry coffee cake was in my hands because I bought it from a vendor, a young man who was a really, really good salesman. He was a teenager and he was running his mom's stall at a farmer's market. This is a Black-owned business with a young person, a vegan bakery. And I had just walked over to watch my housemate's band perform in this place. This was the farmer's market in Jamaica Plain. Some summer, like 3 summers ago. And he was such a good salesman. I did not want cake. I was very thirsty and cotton-mouthed for many reasons. And I just wanted water and I did not want cake. But he was so good, I bought this lemon blueberry cake from him and I said, I will find someone to give it to. And across the street, in another stand, is the record store guy. So I figured I'll go talk to the record store guy because that's what you do. I don't own records and I don't have a player but I figured this is someone I can talk to. It's a music person. So I walk over and it's Chris at Light of Day Records doing his thing, and he had a turntable and was playing songs and talking to people, and it was so easy. We fell into conversation right away. And maybe 8 or 10 minutes in, I had a kind of a flash of an idea, and I said, hey, I know we just met, but this might seem strange, but would you like a piece of lemon blueberry coffee cake? And his eyes lit up, and he said, that's exactly what I want right now. And my birthday was yesterday, right? Your 40th birthday.
Yeah, it was a great round, yeah.
And, hold on, some scammer is calling. And he said, I just had a big birthday and the party is tonight. It's a jam session. We rented out a space, right? It was the
Spontaneous
community hall at Spontaneous Celebrations in JP. I'm pointing like you can see it on the audio, but I talk with my hands a lot. And he said, do you want to come? So I went to this party that night of a person I just met that morning. His family was over from Philly. Like, people were there from everywhere because it was a big birthday. There was like amazing catered food and it was awesome. And we played and we locked in right away. It was right away. I said I have a melodica. Can I bring a melodica? He's like, sure, because it's like, you know what a melodica is? Yes, you know.
Yeah.
But for those who are listening, it's like a little toy blow piano, an air piano. You kind of blow into it and hold it in front of your face, like a mini accordion, like an accordion and a harmonica had a baby. That's exactly what it is, actually.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it too. It's kind of squealy. So we played right away. We fell into like, all his grooves. I was in all the pockets of all his grooves, right? And Tom was there, just like a bed underneath to lie on, and their friend Joe from the other band, who's also an incredible musician, was up from Baltimore. Anyway, there was all these people and we locked in right away and we said, we have to do this again. And we did it again, and then we did it again and again and again and again. We moved many places and studios, and people's lives changed here and there, and we're still together. It's been 3 years.
And even surviving a year and a half hiatus where, at least speaking for myself, there was like a lot of uncertainty there. I mean, there was for everybody, you know. But there was, you know, we kind of stopped for a while. We were figuring everything out with COVID and just trying to get through. And, you know, I'd say we rekindled everything roughly August last year, and had our first show almost 1 year to today. Just was a couple days ago. So we've been, I will say, like a public band for 1 year.
But our first show was actually originally scheduled for the week the pandemic hit Boston. So the week of March, it was like our show was March, I forget now, 13th or so. Anyway, it was like it was the next week and everything shut down. I'd made handmade merchandise. I was so excited. I'm like a kid in this band. It's like I'm just a bratty little kid, and these two entertain the shit out of me. It's great. And they let me do they let me get away with murder, and it's very good for all of us. I will speak on behalf of all of them, because they would not be back here again and again if there wasn't a little bit of mischief. We have a lot of fun together.
Sounds like it, yeah. How did the name Muzzins originate? I'm very curious as to how the band name originated. Who deserves credit for that?
Do you want to tell the story, Tom?
So
you tell it.
So we had an old practice space, and as practice spaces have sometimes weird things that come with the practice space when new bands move in, there was an old couch there, and it was an IKEA couch, and the name of the couch was Muzzin. So we thought, that's us. We're Muzzins. That's it.
Chris, do you have a story?
No, I mean, that's the origin story.
That's today's origin story.
That's our origin story. We owe it all to that couch.
Swedish furniture.
That's why we're on a couch now. We must always have a couch.
We're all about sofa sits.
We have a song about
We do have a
sofas.
song called Sofa Sit, which we haven't played in a while, and
We should play.
I want to
we should play
advocate.
that.
I want to advocate for rekindling Sofa Sit.
It's a good song.
One of my favorites.
I concur.
Our songs are very strange. They are not like anything I've ever heard, honestly. I've heard a fair bit of music in my life, and it's nothing like that. But
I think it's a little bit a lot of things.
it's a little bit of a lot of things. Like we're all that. It's very representative of our collective personality.
And that actually leads into my next question about your sound a little bit. How would you describe your sound to those who aren't familiar with you?
That's a hard one.
You said what? Psychedelic, power, free flow, jam, like.
There's definitely a psychedelic element. We're genre queer is how I think about us. We jump and hop and are fluid between all, like, many genres. We have songs that go from kind of a bossa thing to like death, thrash, and then back to like a bossa in the same song. And then we'll have stuff that's super groovy and dancey, and you can just get into like a trance, like repetitive, deep headspace where like shit opens up and, you know, the light comes in. People have come to us after shows with feedback just like that. Like it's an experience more than we play these kinds of songs. It's a full experience. People have, I remember one of the early shows we played, someone came to us and said, 2 people came and said, of their own accord, I had no idea what I was walking into, and that was a spiritual experience. Like full on. And these are people who had lived some and knew what the fuck they were talking about. Can I swear? Yes, I just did. Anyways.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So it's that. It's like, I think there's an experience that happens. There's like weird kind of trashy vaudevillian puppetry in the beginning of the show. You know, we make up stuff as we go. We write a lot of music together.
I think there's a sense too of wanting our musical output to be bigger than what the 3 of us are. It's kind of like the bigger than the sum of the parts.
Mm-hmm. It's a big sound. We have a big sound, actually.
And I'd also like to add, I think all 3 of us individually are music lovers. I mean, obviously, like was mentioned previously, I run a record store. You know, in my free time, like I listen to music, and I think we all do. So I think, you know, we come at it very much from a point of like I don't think there's any limit to like what we can't do. It's like I do believe that, and that's not coming from like egotistical standpoint. I feel like that is actually like our capability and our uniqueness is that you know, we can lean in many different directions, feel it out, because we are students as we play. And I feel like that's something that's a little bit unique and different about us, and is exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Was there an immediate chemistry when you first formed Muzzins, or did that take time to develop? Was that sort of, chemistry immediate right off the bat?
I remember. You guys remember our first practice at Jonathan's, like in the living room. That practice.
Yeah, there's like a song or two came out of that.
Oh yeah.
That like just, hey, let's just make up something on the spot and see if it just goes anywhere.
I want to say like the bones of Queen of Hearts came out of that. Like
Spit It Out was the-
Spit It Out. Maybe
Spit
Spit It Out
Spit
was
It
it?
Out,
in there?
yeah. It was instant. I mean, that's how we got together.
It's always a weird thing to start something new because it's like, how do you write music for this particular project? And there's no clear answer to that. And for us, it just kind of organically happened of let's just start making up things and see what stuck.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were maybe some vocal ideas that came on top of that or not. And then we would move in a different direction.
Yeah, it's highly improvised and responsive, right? So it's about listening to each other and feeling each other out and allowing each other to play off of, right, one another. So it's playful. It tends to get dark. I think we're not afraid to get dark. We go to some really, really dark places and it helps process a lot of big feelings. I know, and I think that's part of the experience that people have too, because we allow them those feelings, and then it can suddenly turn into kind of a comedy show almost in the same song even, right? It can go from rage to comedy almost instantly. So I think there's an big emotional component to it also.
But even in the ragey times, like personally, I'm still having fun.
Oh,
I feel
yeah.
like we're all collectively having fun, even though it's maybe a darker, angry sort of thing.
Oh, we love that energy. It's delicious. It's my favorite. It's my favorite. We go dark fast and hard and we'll stay there for a while. And I'll want to be dancing the entire time. That's the feeling that I get. Like my body can't not move to this music. I sing from the body. So if the body isn't speaking, then nothing comes out.
I want to delve behind some of your individual musical influences, stuff that you listened to when you were younger, which I'm sure is very different from like the overall sound of the band. So I just want to delve behind that. If you want to go down the line and talk about some of your individual musical influences and how similar they different they are to the band's sound.
This is a hard one.
Well, I guess I'll start. I grew up with all kinds of music. Like music was always playing at my house. My parents had a pretty significant collection of 45s, and as a kid, I don't know, some of my earliest memories are like picking out the 45s that I really liked. And not to be cliche about being a bass player, but I was definitely taken with that part of certain songs, and I didn't really know that at the time. But as I got a little bit older and I thought about what music that I really like listening to, the first song that I totally got into when I was 4 was Hall & Oates' Man Eater.
That's a great first song.
And I stand by that song to this day.
So good.
And that bass line is just so good. And it's a very Motown kind of bass line, which is yet another whole genre of stuff that I listen to tons. So all the Motown stuff, my mom in particular loved that. So it was Man Eater, Hot Stuff. Was that Donna Summer? Right?
Yes, yes.
Pac-Man Fever. Buckner and Garcia. That was a big one for me.
Pac-Man Fever. Pac-Man Fever. Going out of my
The one and the same.
Yeah.
And then as I got older, I totally I gravitated towards classic rock and all that kind of heavy riff stuff. So I think that's a really good sampling of the things that make me play, or it helped me form my musical voice now. It's like this mixture of groovy, funky soul stuff, but then heavier riff oriented stuff.
You want me to go next? Yeah. Tom and I grew up in the Philadelphia area suburbs. My first concert ever was I saw Rush when I was 14 on their Counterparts tour, and then my second show ever was at the time the Dead Milkmen's last show ever at the Trocadero Theater. The Dead Milkmen have since reunited a couple times since then, but that Dead Milkmen show in particular was the first time I actually discovered that there was culture outside. Like there was actually like a scene, like that a scene existed, like because you're 14 years old and you go to a punk rock show, and it was crazy. I mean, it was like chaos, and you're like and then you look at the lineup and you're like, there's shows like happening literally every night at this place. And it was one of the few venues that would allow for certain shows under 21. And so I kind of became a regular there. So I grew up going to a lot of punk rock shows, and you know, saw a lot of great bands, you know, in their heyday in the 90s. And you know, from there, and then from there, I think once I hit college, it was more like you know, expand your palette a little bit. Tom and I played in a lot, like he mentioned earlier, we played in a lot of bands together and played a lot of different styles. Everything, quite literally, from like a jazz trio to, I was in a big band at one point, to ska bands, you know, you name it. Like, and so I feel like though that when I go back to it, I'm like, there was like my life before that Dead Milkmen show, and then there was like my life after. I was like, oh, there's actually, I just said, you have no idea that like culture existed because you live in the suburbs, and then you go to get exposed to something like that, and you're like, your young mind's like, I don't know what I'm gonna do next, but I know I need to get here as much as possible, you know. And thankfully, my folks were pretty, you know, okay with that mostly, with letting me go down there virtually every weekend.
Mostly.
Yeah. So, but Armaz, what do you got?
I love hearing these stories too. It's cool. Like we've known each other a while, but there's so much we do together that we don't always go into detail about the past. Although we do. I grew up in India, and I moved there when I was 4 years old. My parents had been living in the United States, and they didn't know if they were going to come back, and they were having a great time in the US in the 70s. My dad played sitar at the time, and he would play sitar out at like hippie rock concerts. And his entire family is a family of music lovers. So back in India, they brought, and so was my mom actually, but separately. She brought all these records, and we had a record player, just a small collection, whatever they could bring at the time. It was hard. And tapes from the radio, from the American radio, lots and lots of tapes. And so I have in my brain, and I've realized now in my 40s, actually in the last few months, I've realized I think I am synesthetic, and I have a specific kind of synesthesia where the audio, I'm very sensitive to audio, and it turns into a physical sensation in my body, and it can be pleasurable, really, really, really pleasurable, and it can also be really distressing. And so I think I naturally gravitated towards certain kinds of sounds. They tended to be sounds of music. It was soothing, it was comforting. So I was listening to some of that stuff, and then my father's family in India they would invite classical musicians, Indian classical musicians home, like before they got big. They would have concerts in their basement, and not the basement, but in the living room, like on the floor, just mattresses put out and people sitting on the floor. And before people got big, they used to play at our house, apparently. I wasn't around at the time, but so when we moved back, I think that happened a little bit, but not that much. And then at school, we didn't have access to anything. So it was if somebody's parent or somebody's older brother had gone abroad somewhere and managed to record some tapes off of somewhere, we were obsessed with music of the West, obsessed. I grew up in an English-speaking school, and we were all at the time being groomed kind of for, right, this is a colonial, right, nation at the time. I mean, not at the time, but we have all that hangover. So there was an obsession with, I grew up playing classical Western piano, and then I played the French horn in the Bombay Chamber Orchestra, so I played chamber music. We didn't have a school music program, but I started one with some other kids in school. Not a program, but we just, like a bunch of nerds would get together with random instruments and just play stuff. And I've been obsessed with music for I think my whole life. 80s pop and 90s trip hop and
Bryan Adams.
Bryan Adams was my first ever concert. I was 16 years old, and we had backstage passes.
Wow.
And we saw in India. This is in India. This was a big deal. We did not have concerts at all. That was one of the first big concerts. Like he came and Michael Jackson came and then nobody came for a decade and then some people came. It was like that. It's like a very weird, we had no access. So I was like a bloodhound anywhere I could get my fingers in. It used to be lots of, like, not lots of girls my age were really obsessive in this way about music, especially something so nerdy. So I was very lonely in my nerdiness. So I was hanging out, I was used to hang out with guys, which is probably why I get along with these guys. But I now know lots of awesome women who listen to music like this also. 90s trip hop and house music, lots of Afro psychedelia like that, and Afrobeat. Deep soul music, right? And jazz, kind of mind-opening transcendental jazz. I'm obsessed by Alice Coltrane these days, who's an incredible musician, like incredible human being. Lots to learn about Alice Coltrane. So I'm pushing Alice Coltrane. And then lots of like heady stoner music that had groove and soul. I don't know. Fill in the blanks. There's too many to talk about. I'll end there.
Okay, so talk about your creative process a little bit and how you normally come up with songs together. I ask this question to all the bands that come on here, and usually they have a process that works exclusively for them, but how does it usually work for you in terms of creating songs together?
I don't know. It seems like we don't really have one set process, which is, I think, part of the uniqueness about all the songs that we currently have in the repertoire. Some are songs that maybe one of us had an idea of outside of a practice, and it's either sent around ahead of time or brought to practice, and like, hey, what do you think of this? Let's play around with it for a bit and see what grows out of it. Other times, we'll just be spontaneously playing something, improvising during practice, and we kind of lock into something and think, wow, that's cool. We should do that for 20 minutes to see what happens. We tend to start off any of our practices with that, just like an open jam of sorts, like just somebody make some noise and then we start adding to it, and eventually something really cool grows out of it.
Yeah, I think lots of songs have come out of that process. Actually, that's definitely one of our processes, and we enjoy the process itself. Well, I'm a process person, I think. So it's fun to go through like that and not know what's coming, and then it's kind of a feeling like, ooh, did you feel that? And like, I felt that too, and we felt it for a while, and we're all kind of locked in. So it's like the stickiness, we're kind of dialed into that, and then stuff comes out of that. Or it's the same, like Chris will bring an idea, or we text through the week constantly. Also, we're like 3 teenagers. Or I'll speak for myself. They tolerate it. But yeah.
I mean, it could be anything. It could be like humming into, your phone, a little voice memo, and hey, here's this cool idea. Let's try this next time. We kind of play around with the idea of maybe someday we'll play a show that is just the process, and forget about all the songs in the repertoire, and just let's go there. And
that's a great name for the show.
The process.
It's just always called the process.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, we've got singles coming out soon that we're currently working on, and but it's like, we've been talking about this a lot. It was like, we got to go out and play shows and like play. We don't have to. We go out and play shows and play songs we've recorded and or written and will release. And we've also have this desire, like, let's just go to some shows and like with nothing, like, and go make noise for 45 minutes. Which internally we've been calling flow shows. Mm-hmm. Where it's like, let's start doing some flow shows where it's like, just take a total chance on it. And while we haven't fully gone into it yet, like, we're going to explore a lot for next year and everything. And but I'll speak for myself. I think it's one of our greatest strengths is that every time we jam, I'm like, we should not that we should be like a jam band, but I think that some of our strongest stuff just comes out of like just making it up out of thin air. And to Tom's point earlier, like a lot of songs actually get written from that process. So it's not necessarily we're opposed to writing songs and having a familiar structure. It's just we want to do unfamiliar things too. And it's kind of exciting because it's like I said, it's like we're a new band, but we've all been musicians and experiencing music for a long time together in various different ways. So while we're new-ish to playing together, it doesn't really feel that way. So.
And also, I just noticed on your Instagram that you released a song called Rough on SoundCloud. So Talk about the recording process behind that, because I'm very curious as to how that all came together.
Pete, that's me hitting record on my crappy old sweet Android phone on the phone recorder. The phone fell off of the bass amp halfway through, and I didn't even realize it was on the floor. I record a lot of our stuff just like that, just to because the ideas are very fresh, and to capture it. And a part of the process, at least I know for me, is also about releasing raw, unfinished things. I'm really into the emotional and spiritual practice of what that feels like, because in my parallel life, this is my field of expertise, is like letting go and being present, kind of at a high level. So I've been recording lots of those, our jams, just on the phone record. It's the easiest. I can't fiddle a lot, because then I'll get distracted and disinterested. So it has to be fast, light, and easy for me to access. So it's all that. So SoundCloud, they were like, you could just do whatever. I said, it's good. It's just a stream of raw jams, and people know that going in. Like, I'll put a note there, usually something, this is recorded on a phone. But also it's like, I don't have to put the note anymore even. I was like, this is just what we put over here. Like, you can love it or not, and we don't have to explain ourselves. But anyway, so that's the process.
So that was like the second half of some
we'd started something
20-minute thing that we just
we just started playing. It's just us last week. It was a week ago today.
And honestly, I can't even remember what that sounds like right now.
And
like, that's just like
it's
it
but there
happened
were
at that
snippets,
moment,
and then
you
I
know.
listen to them over and over again through the week often, and they'll catch, like, bits of them will catch. People ask me, what are you listening to these days? And I'm like, I'm listening to my own band, because I listen to it as a listener, and I don't feel like, because I become kind of disembodied when we're playing. So it feels like some other energy. It's my energy, it's not an other energy, but I feel kind of this deep flow state. So I listen to it with kind of a new, fresh ears. It's cool. So that's the SoundCloud process has its own process. It's like me, rough and raw. I make album covers for fun. These are like flow show albums, kind of. Yeah.
So it's very improvised.
Super improvised.
It's 100%.
None of this was intentional. We weren't looking to form a band. I wasn't looking for any of this, right? So that the way we met is the way we play. Like, we're not aiming to, like, cover this album or that genre, this artist or whatever, as such. Like, we didn't form for that reason.
Okay, so and then one of the reasons, of course, you're on here is to talk about Summit Indie Fest coming up October 22nd at the Book and Bar up in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. What can fans expect from your setup there? And just talk about your overall feelings as the festival nears.
Do you want me to start this one, since I
Yeah.
know Joel and I've been there?
Yeah.
Well, first off, I want to say, I want to shout out to Joel, who runs Summit Indie Fest. First, I want to say thanks to Joel for running Summit Indie Fest, and we're talking about people who love music. Joel definitely does, and supports local music, and he comes out to shows, and he's a big supporter of the scene. And so I want to give him a shout out for doing it, and I also know it's a fundraiser as well, so it's for good causes. And I also know he's got bigger things in mind, and definitely is the kind of person to do it. I was there last year, which they had an amazing lineup. I love the venue. It's it is it's a bar and / restaurant / bookstore / lounge, and there's an indoor space and an outdoor space, and the acts are usually broken up. One band plays inside, act plays outside, and they go back and forth. Usually with the louder acts, I'd imagine will probably be inside. And when I think about us playing in that space, I'm so psyched, because I'm like, the possibilities are really endless. We can get really fun and experimental, engaging, get folks really into it. I think one of the great things about Summit Indie Fest is that people are there for the music. I mean, it's a fun vibe. Like, it's, there's mingling for sure. There's great beers and food and everything. But like, people, stop and listen to the bands, and so knowing that you have a crowd that's like interested in what you have to say in the first place, and then secondly, knowing that you have a crowd that like, I'm confident, like, you're gonna like where we're gonna take this, and we're not afraid to go there to places you might not have been before. I'm really excited about our performance at Summit Indie Fest this year, and thank Joel for bringing us on, and all the other great acts they're gonna be on the bill.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's how I met you, Chris, because you were you had a stand set up for Light of Day Records.
Yeah, Light of Day Records will be there again this year too. Yeah, so vinyl pop up to boot on top of all that I just mentioned.
We're
There
really
you
looking,
go.
yeah, we're really looking forward to it. I can't wait. I've been all over the Summit website and just now getting a sense of what kind of event it is and play like the person that Joel is. I'm excited. I also should say I don't know how much longer the phone battery is gonna go, and we have other recording stuff to do. So I want to make sure we get answers to your most pressing questions in the next few minutes, and then we may have to wrap.
Oh yes, yeah, absolutely, yeah. We're
Yeah, it's
nearing the end
starting to.
anyway, so.
I also don't want it to cut out before I don't want the battery to
Oh no,
die.
no.
Okay.
Of course, I got plenty of time, so I have unlimited time on the Zoom. So.
No, I mean we need to wrap sooner, so
Okay.
because my
Yeah,
phones
sure.
are gonna die.
Yeah,
Okay.
Pete, if you got questions, we'll make sure our answers are quicker.
Okay.
No, we won't.
Besides music, what do you like to do in your spare time away from making music?
I really enjoy making and eating sandwiches.
That's a great answer.
I do.
And I like sitting on sofas.
There's really nothing more that I like to do than make music. That's a hard question to answer. Sleep, maybe?
I can feed you some sandwiches while you listen to music.
Eating and
on
sleeping.
a sofa.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Okay, and what's next for Muzzins after Summit Indie Fest?
Oh, we got singles coming out, and we most likely will have single release shows and/or events associated with. Nothing formal to announce yet, but definitely singles coming out later this year into next year, and then in our debut EP in 2023. All dates exactly to be determined, but we're super psyched about our debut EP and all the associated fun that's going to come with it.
And how can fans find out more info about you online?
Muzzins.com.
And on Instagram at muzzins.music. That's, I think, where we are most active, I would say.
And stream our music. Follow us on, obviously Spotify doesn't pay shit, but it does help to get a follow on Spotify. So follow Muzzins follow Muzzins on Spotify, and we'll have new music dropping soon. So you'll get it when it comes out.
All right, looking forward to it. And we've reached the last question here. What is one thing you would like fans to know about you?
That the portal of the Muzziverse is always open and welcoming to all. They are free to come in and they are free to leave anytime.
But
That's
we prefer they stay.
We have
There
no
we go,
agenda.
that's perfect.
Thank you so much, Pete.
You can ask,
This
you
is a
can
blast
hang
having
out
you
for a
on.
while.
Looking forward to seeing you at Summit Indie Fest on October 22nd. Thanks.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Take care. Great seeing you again, Chris. Take
Good to
care.
see you.
May the
as well.
Muzz be with you.
Bye.
Take care. See ya.
Bye.